Just win, baby, right? So last year, 10-7. Talk of the town for a little bit, they were
Overcame
rolling.
a lot.
Overcame a shit ton. You had this stuff with Gruden. You had Ruggs killing people. Like it was a rough season for the Raiders. Derek Carr played the best he could with what he had. Insert the best receiver in football. We'll get into it. But yeah, brand new head coach. They do not retain their interim head coach, which I wish they would have done, but lucky for you, he's your new special teams coordinator.
Highest paid special teams coordinator in
great
history.
guy, great Italian paisan. So the 2022 Raiders are coached by Josh McDaniels, second head coaching stint. His first one went right down the shitter.
Yeah, outside Jay Cutler. It's tough.
In Denver?
Yeah, I think Cutler and McDaniels, that was the marriage.
Yeah. Well, I blame McDaniels. Cutler's a G, bro. Cutler
Post NFL Cutler is
post NFL Cutler is a guy I
Pedro
want to hang out
Martinez
with.
to me. I love Pedro post career. I love Jay Cutler post career. Bro,
the losses, they're out there. There's definitely a couple guys that walk out the door from last year to this year that you definitely will be missed, but they replaced him significantly. So Ngakwe, he leaves. He's gone, right? But of course, you got the other flip side of that. They signed Chandler Jones. I think everybody's going to be okay. They lose 3 linebackers. I don't have to name them by name, but the linebacking room took a little bit of a hit. They lose Marcus Mariota, but replaced him with one of the greatest backup quarterbacks going right now, Big Dick Nick Mullins.
I also think that they got Stidham from New England.
They did get Jarrett,
and Josh McDaniels bringing in Stidham. I think
That's
you could possibly see a good quarterback competition working out for the number 2 spot.
They lost the receiver, 2 receivers in Zay Jones and Bryan Edwards. I feel like Bryan Edwards wasn't given the fair shake because a lot of people were talking good about him for a long time, and they just never kind of materialized. So now he's going to Atlanta, I believe.
Maybe he got a fair shake, but the guys in the room, because Zay Jones was playing really well, and they had a good receiving room last year, all things considered. And outside of the Henry Ruggs situation, really that's the only time that opportunity opened up. And I think Edwards might have been a little banged up last year too.
Yeah. So anyway, Solomon Thomas, they lose him. He's an edge rusher. He goes signs with the Jets. Zay Jones, I said that before. Their gains obviously starts and almost ends with adding the best receiver in football. That's Davante Adams. He goes over to Las Vegas. Chandler Jones. They talked about Nick Mullins already. Keelan Cole from the Jets. Rocky Sin, they got in a trade last year. Mac Hollins. Demarcus Robinson, another guy that kind of got lost in the shuffle. Couple nice games in Kansas City. He goes out west and stays out in the AFC West. So all of a sudden you're looking at Derek Carr, and he's got weapons. He's obviously got third and Renfro. He's got Hunter Renfro, Davante Adams, Demarcus Robinson, Keelan Cole, and one of the best tight ends, most athletic tight ends in the league in Darren Waller. And, of course, Josh Jacobs. A lot of people are starting to wonder what kind of year this guy can have, considering the stack boxes are no more. Like, you now have to double, triple, quadruple team Davante Adams. So you have to – there's a lot of moving parts on that defense. Defensive coordinators against the Raiders this year are going to have a problem, I think. But, again – this division is loaded. Their schedule is brutal. Their defensive side of the ball is great. Their offensive line is a little young, but the defensive line is Crosby and Chandler Jones. Like, come on. Like, you will be
solid up front.
That's a solid up front defensive line. I love Jonathan Abrams. I know he hasn't really come on yet, but he's the safety. The team is good. I just worry about the fact that they're just playing in a really tough division and their schedule's not favorable, and there's multiple pockets of this schedule where they're on the road back-to-back weeks, which is weird. I always felt like if you're going to be home for a little while, great, and then they put them on the road for 2, and then like that never happens again. They have 2 pockets of time where they're on the road twice. They start their squad. I'll ask you first. When you look at the Raiders as a whole, your boy Joey D's team, like this team right now, last year, 10-7, the prediction and the over-under goes down after last year, after adding Davante Adams. Why did that happen?
Chandler Jones.
But why did that happen?
I would say the Russ effect is a big reason why it happened.
Within the division,
and the new head coach is why it's happening. The competition out in the AFC West is why it's happening. But I don't have any other good reasons when I look at the team why it's happening. I think that's going to be one of the most bet overs in the preseason is going to be over 8.5 wins. I don't know. Like I usually tend to fade the public, but it's one of those that's like hard. I would imagine. I don't know the odds on what it is, but it's probably like minus 140 to go over.
Well, the schedule is not easy.
Yeah, but it wasn't easy last year.
You know how I do this? I kind of roll through and I find like the minimum, and I feel like the minimum right now with a couple good bounces of the ball might be 8 wins out of this schedule. Because look, the start of the season against the Chargers in LA.
Well, if you're looking at the minimum, and it's like that's minimum floor.
Well,
that's a good start. For
I gave them wins.
If it's 8.5.
Majority of them are at home. A couple on the road, not a lot on the road, man. I just so here we go. Chargers loss. Cardinals back home. They'll win that game. At the Titans, I don't know.
That's going to be a good game.
Very
week
good
one.
game.
I don't expect the Raiders to lay down week one by any stretch.
I mean, they're not going to lay down, but the Chargers, to me, are like my secondary Super Bowl pick in the AFC, to be honest with you. So, like, and we'll obviously make all those picks as September approaches. But, like,
yeah, but they could lose some games. They will.
Then they got Denver at home, on the road against Kansas City, never easy. Early bye, meaning, again, a lot of these teams at the byes like 9, 10, 11 in those weeks, that's good because it breaks your season up in half. But the Raiders are taking an early bye here in week 6. That means you played 5 games and now 12 games in a row come in after that. The pockets that I was talking about, week 8 and 9, at Saints, at Jags, right? And I say they could probably win one of those two. I want to say they'll maybe beat the Jaguars at home. I mean, in Jacksonville. But then again, I look at Jacksonville and I may have given them a win in that. So I don't know. But like, I'm looking at those games as like toss-ups. They will. I think they could beat the Colts at home. That's just me. When you're in Vegas, I feel like, and I'm not saying that crowd moved from Los Angeles to Vegas like wholeheartedly, but that was a cool place to play. And I think the Raiders played very well at home last year as far as like crowd, home crowd, energy up, right? Vegas is just a cool town.
Let's not discount the fact that you're getting a bunch of visiting young players coming into Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things that will take you off your mind off of football when you go out to Vegas and play the Raiders.
Yeah. Of 2021. I'm just curious now because so they were all right. They were only 5-4 at home, so I'm wrong on that one. As far as like they're 5-3 on the road, so they're actually a better road team. Finished the year winning 4 in a row. But anyway, so back to the schedule. Another pocket of hard is 11-12. They go at Denver, at Seattle, and I know Seattle's going to kind of be like, it depends. Really, it really depends on who their quarterback, how they gel.
Seattle's going to suck.
Seattle will probably suck, so maybe they get another win on the road there. So if that's the case, Gooch, then I might switch my floor to like 10. And like I said, yesterday we did the Chargers at I had them at 11, floating around 11, and then the day before I had the Broncos floating around 10, I think, if I remember correctly. So if the Raiders do 10, like, do you think we live in a world that the AFC West all the teams have 10 wins? No. So do you think the Raiders are the team that will probably falter? You're not big on the Chiefs. I know we're going to talk about the Chiefs tomorrow, but
I'm not down on the Chiefs either.
Down on
because
their
it's
defense.
hard to. It's hard. I think I'm really high on their offense. I think Juju is going to be a nice addition. I still think they're going to score a ton of points with a little different way of doing things. We'll talk about that tomorrow, but I'm going to go over on the 8.5. I don't know if I had Denver at 10 wins either, though. I think I had Denver at 9.
Did you? Yeah. I would have to look back.
And I'm not positive. I have to look
and these are early, so we'll probably.
But I'm going to go over 8.5 wins, but I don't know if it's going to be much. I look at the Raiders as a possible exactly what they were last year, 10-7 team, and another possible playoff berth. 10-7 should get you in.
Now, much like they did last year, they won 4 in a row on the back end of their season. This year, after they beat up on the Patriots, which I think they will because Josh McDaniels is going to beat Bill Belichick. That's going to be like the thing, right? It's going to be a story. Boom, they beat them. Week 16 at Pittsburgh, going to the East Coast technically, in the elements, I'm going to assume. That ain't going to be no easy feat. As much as I bashed the Steelers, not even bashed the Steelers, just kind of not as giving them the rub they might deserve towards the back end of the year. And then they got the 49ers, and then they finish against Kansas City. The only plus I would say is they finished the season at home against the Niners and at home against Kansas City. So they're staying for some home cooking at the back stretch.
Yeah, well, the Patriots, they could be one way or the other or fighting for a playoff spot at that point. So all those teams, if you really look up and down their schedule, they don't really have many gimmies. Like at the Titans, I think that they're going to be an easier game than people think this year. Every game in their division is going to be tough. The Texans is a gimme. At the Saints are one of those teams where 50-50. They look like they preseason are around a 500 team. They could go both ways. If Jameis gets hurt again, then it's over. Broncos, anything in their division. We talked about Seahawks. I feel like that's a gimme game, but it's on the road. They don't really have an easy schedule by any stretch, but they're a really good team too. My biggest concern with the Raiders, and I've said it all along, is their lack of ability to cover receivers. So they're going to give up points. They're going to get to the quarterback this year. There's no question about that. And that'll make up for a lot of deficiencies in their secondary. But the way teams are running now on offense with 3 receiver sets and even tight ends splitting out wide, running backs catching the ball out of the backfield, the Raiders, that's their biggest Achilles heel is going to be in coverage. This day in the NFL, you got to do everything well defensively, but when you get scored on fast because you can't cover people, there's nothing more demoralizing. I watched it for years where the Packers offense would score right away and their secondary would just give it up. So it's going to be frustrating, and they're playing a lot of high-powered offenses within the division.
Interesting stat coming in from Florida Mike here. To Pittsburgh is the longest they're going to have to travel. Furthest east after Week 10. So Week 10 and on, the furthest east they have to go is Pittsburgh. Everything else is either home or on the left coast. So that's an advantage, I think. I mean, a lot of people don't put a lot of stock into that stuff. I do. I've always been that same guy that's like, NFL, do the right thing. Stop scheduling West Coast teams at 1 o'clock. Just do the right thing. Don't do it because it's not fair. It's really not fair. Like, if they're going to do that, you got to make them 4.
That game might be at 4.
Oh, I'm just saying, in general,
Actually, that game's at 8.
All right, so it's a night game. But I'm saying, in general, I'm talking generally speaking.
No, you're right. And that's one of those things.
It's just such an easy
I'll tell you
fix.
who doesn't gloss over that fact? Gamblers.
Right.
Right.
Like,
So that's a good reason why you shouldn't.
right. So that's the Raiders in a nutshell. 8, 9, 10 wins. Could be, I don't know. It's going
I
to be.
got them at 10-7.
Wow,
With
okay,
the ability
so-
to go a little bit better and definitely a little more ability to go a little worse.
So not only that, so so you're firmly over on the over.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in on 9 plus.
I
no
can't
matter
see
what.
them losing 9 games this year.
Okay.
Not gonna happen.
But
What
it's a
else we
great
got?
spot to fade the West Coast teams. That's what Tosca's as far as the gambling aspect of it's a
Yeah,
great.
that's
Yeah,
what we're
that's
getting-
what I'm
that's what-
saying. It's
that's
not
literally-
fair for the West Coast teams. Like, it's just not. Like, tell the Niners
And
to
I
go play
also
the
think
Jets
it's
at
not
1 o'clock.
fair
It's
to
like,
make
what are
the
you doing?
Packers travel to Florida at any given point in any season.
Dallas has to go to Florida this year. God help us.
Struggle in
Going
that
to
state.
Jacksonville. I think I'm going to
Struggle
swim
in that
in the
state.
pool for that game. But anyway, that's the Raiders, and this AFC West will conclude it on tomorrow as we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, which is led obviously by Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, that whole company. Defense takes a bit of a hit. We'll get into it tomorrow. We'll pick our division winner of that one.